The director Kula Wildlife Adventure Park, Mr. Ramesh, son, and staff. The P. the staff of the Bandera Beach Inn. I see the CEO of Outrigger Beach Resort, Kula, welcome. Staff of Sigatoka Hospital, staff of the Sigatoka Spa, staff of Ministry of Waterways and Environment. I see senior environmental officer here, Srinivasa. I see staff of Ministry of Agriculture here, members of the Vanoha. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to you. Ladies and gentlemen, last week we were discussing about recognizing this dedicated day on wildlife. And we said that we will come out in the wild, or something created to depict real wildlife, and you can hear the sound of what you get to hear when you go right into the dense forest. Few of you who are like me, who have went out in the interior hunting wild boar, you will know what the natural environment, the nature has to offer to you. And wildlife is an integral part of nature that we all take it for granted. Ladies and gentlemen, wildlife and wildlife habitat have since timeless past played a very critical role in ecological and biological processes of nature that are essential to the survival of life itself, of which we are a very important part. It is this balance in the nature that defines our quality of life. It is this balance of nature that defines sustainability, sustenance of life. And it is this balance of nature that we, the Department of Environment, are trying to ensure that it remains, so that the future generation in Fiji can also have a quality life that we are now having. Ladies and gentlemen, the least I could say is that our forefathers ensured that this balance in the nature remains, so that we are able to enjoy this quality environment. As I entered this park, I could see the difference in terms of the overall environment. And trust me, as I said, those of us who have gone right in the interior, or have been going, or are going, we know how different the environment there is in the interior, right in the dense forest, to the environment in the urban area. And we often talk about it because we know, and we feel proud. We feel proud when you talk about the quality environment that we are surrounded with. And we have to ensure that we maintain this environment in that state that it is now for the future. Ladies and gentlemen, Fiji blessed to have this blessed environment, which includes our flora, fauna, our wildlife. And we are also blessed to have certain endemic species of wildlife. Endemic species, which means basically that it is only found here in Fiji. And we are also blessed to have those species which are in Fiji and also in a few other countries. And we are very concerned that there are certain endangered species that we need to look after so that it doesn't become extinct. Fiji's indigenous species identified as either endangered or threatened with extinction are listed under the following genus of species: fishes, birds, seabirds, reptiles, things, mammals, flora, terrestrial snakes, amphibians, mollusks, butterflies, insects, marine bivalves, damselflies, sharks, whales. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're joining the international community. The day, there's a reason why we dedicate a particular day. And one of the reasons is, apart from, arouse interest, use this day to arouse interest, use this day to recognize the importance of a particular aspect of whatever the day is dedicated to, whether it's wetlands, whether it's rivers, there's International Day of Rivers, whether it's wildlife. Idea is to utilize the day to arouse interest, recognize, also to bring in new thinking about that particular aspect of the day that you're celebrating amongst the rank and file, in particular the new generation, because they are the future. However, I see this day more also in terms of an international movement, because this day, like us, throughout the world, there are groups of people who are talking about this particular issue. And today, they're talking about, as we are doing here, about wildlife. In Samoa, in Tonga, in America, Netherlands, you name it. Every country, the group may be small, but they are a silent majority who understands, who recognizes the importance of environment, the importance of different actors in the environment. And wildlife is a very important integral component of the environment that ensures that we will continue to have quality environment. Ladies and gentlemen, we are when you talk about the international community, the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, in short form known as CITES, the Department of Environment, is the focal point for this particular convention, which calls for all parties with wildlife conservation and management interests, both internationally and locally, to raise awareness on the theme through national events, build collaborative partnership towards wildlife protection, campaign for the conservation and sustainable use of wild animals and plants, use the target strategies to influence consumer behavior and reduce illegally sourced wildlife and the product. Ladies and gentlemen, this convention has come up because as we grow and develop commercial activities, industrial activities, and our selfish pursuit for maximization of interest, for individual interest, sectoral interest, business interest, is having an impact on the balance in the ecology, the balance in the environment, balance in the nature. And inadvertently, in our selfish pursuit for personal, individual, business interest, we are affecting negatively or having a negative externality on the environment, in particular a wildlife population. If you read international literature, if you Google, if you watch videos on YouTube, you'll see how people are poaching endangered species. Just now I was watching a YouTube video on in Africa, poaching of elephant tusk and rhinoceros, etc. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an obligation, to say the least, in terms of ensuring that we protect our environment, to protect the nature, to protect the balance in nature. In Fiji, to implement CITES, Fiji adopted this national legislation, namely the Endangered and Protected Species Act 2002 and the subsequent EPS Regulation 2003. The EPS Act has allowed Fiji to strictly regulate and monitor the movements of listed species across Fiji's borders to facilitate trade agreements with other countries on any CITES-related species. There are often times when you find that people in pursuit, as I said, as I alluded to a while ago, in pursuit of their individual interest, business interest, they will come asking us, putting pressure on us to allow us to push us to allow them to extract, to mine, to catch and trade these species. And unfortunately, some people within the community are being used. Resource owners are being used, land owners are being used, community leaders are being used to sign off, saying that we have got permission from the resource owners, from the landowners. I urge you all to look at the broader interest, look at the interest of the future generation, look at the interest of the country, not to fall prey to these unscrupulous business deals of people who would want to maximize the individual firm business interest at the expense of our environment, natural resources, and wildlife. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to urge you all that we must form a national movement in terms of protecting our wildlife, and I want to thank the management of this park for managing this park. This park has become a frequent place for visitation by children. I didn't come here when I was a kid, not because I didn't want to come here, because we didn't have those kind of resources and opportunity. But my children came here. My children came here. They visited this place a few times, and of course I came here later on. I brought my students from USP as a tour some time back, maybe 10 years ago. And of course things have changed a lot here, much better. Of course, better resource, maybe put some money. But I want to thank you for maintaining and keeping this park and the wildlife here, so that people can look at them and appreciate what we have and how. And I do hope that you've got educational programs which shows how they create a balance in the nature and how we sustain from the existence of this wildlife. And I suggest that we use this opportunity to form a national movement to protect and safeguard our wildlife, and basically safeguarding the nature, the ecosystem, not only for our but the future generations' survival. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to assure you that the ministry is here to support and back you up to lead a national movement. We will try to put small but significant amount of resources to support your activity, to educate and create awareness about the importance of wildlife, and probably also back you up in terms of sourcing international funding to support wildlife like this in other places as well. And I do hope that and I'm happy to see proposals from you where we can pitch in and put in some government resources, and also leverage resources, pools of resources with different development partner agencies out there to support activities relating to preservation, protection of wildlife. So I wish to thank all our conservation partner agencies, including government, CSO, civil society organizations, NGOs, academics and university researchers, scientists who have actively partnered and assisted in our ministry's work in protecting Fiji's wildlife. I want to acknowledge the special work of this park as well, and I'm thankful to the private sector who has committed. I want to thank CEO of Outrigger. Outrigger has always been very active in terms of their community, social and environmental outreach activities. The previous CEO was also very good, and I think the current CEO is also taking this particular aspect of the responsibility of the corporate sector to a higher level. Thank you for your presence here, sir. So with these words, it's my pleasure to declare a very happy Wildland Day to all of you. And I do hope and I do call upon the resource owners who basically are the custodian of over 92% of our natural resources in this country to be mindful and see how they can play a more active role in protecting our wildlife and putting sense into those commercial exploiters who are trying to exploit it to maximize their individual or business interests. So thank you, Naka.
Conservation and also education purposes, and also for our kids and tomorrow to see them and appreciate.
So just look at it.
Fiji power perspective.
Huh?
Fiji power perspective.
This is also endemic.
No, it's specific. Specific endemic.
Sir, or Pacific?
Pacific.
ये कहाँ पे है? कौन island पे है?
Oh, here actually.
So can we take a photo of you holding that and he's holding it?
Wait.
Okay, so I'll show you how to feed first before you can start feeding. Take a piece of fish, wiggle it out in the water to get the attention, and they come close, let it go. Okay?